Is Nintendo done releasing DLC for Nintendo Switch games? 3 of the major releases from 2023 did not get DLC, free updates, paid DLC, any of it. Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin IV, and Mario Wonder, none of these games got paid updates or free updates that added new content, substantial content. So today I want to talk about whether or not Nintendo is abandoning these games and whether or not there actually will be more DLC down the road. Could we see a DLC level pack for Mario Wonder? Could we see some sort of DLC for Pikmin 4 like Pikmin 3 got in this upcoming Direct? Today I want to talk about that more. Of course, if you are new here and you're not already subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you enjoy Nintendo Switch news, speculation, theories, discussions, all of that stuff. Let's get into it. Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games, and today I want to talk about Nintendo Switch games and the possibility that they may be getting DLC in the near future, or maybe not at all. So I know a lot of people have talked about this, whether or not Tears of the Kingdom in particular will get DLC, but also Pikmin 4 and Mario Wonder, and how the absence of these games DLC, like the fact that they haven't gotten any DLC at all yet, is a little weird, and a lot of people think it indicates a more imminent release for the Nintendo Switch 2, which, that's fair, that's totally fair. However, I do want to talk about whether or not these games could still end up getting DLC, and also I want to talk about something else that I've noticed recently, which is definitely interesting at the very least, and we'll start with that. So in the past month, 2 very specific games started getting updated again out of nowhere. Like, I think most people assume these games were done getting updates, and then out of nowhere they started updating them again. So the first of which I already covered on the channel a couple of weeks ago, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate seemingly is in active development again. Like, they are actively adding new spirits to that game, not just spirits from first-party games, but also third-party games, which means they're actively, doing third-party contracts. Zagreus from Hades, that game from Supergiant, like, that has a spirit in Smash Bros. Now, and they never worked out any contract with Supergiant before Smash Bros. Development ended in around, late 2021, right? So the fact that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is getting updated again is a little weird, but really interestingly to me is that Super Mario Maker 2 actually got an update last week. So on February 6th, Nintendo released a patch that brought Super Mario Maker 2 to version 3.0.3. Before that, the last update was in November of 2022. This, to me, is very interesting because the same team that makes Mario Maker makes Mario Wonder, so it seems like in the time that they finished Mario Wonder development, they've actually gone back to start squashing some more bugs in Mario Maker 2, which is just very weird. And I guess the question is, does this indicate that new paid content or more new substantial content is coming to either Smash Bros. Or Mario Maker? And frankly, the answer is probably no. I mean, these games are very old. Neither of them are going to exactly go crazy in terms of sales from this point forward. Smash Bros. Is a constant seller, but Mario Maker 2, like, that game I don't think did exactly what Nintendo expected it to. Like, it didn't blow up like it did on the Wii U necessarily in terms of bringing the community together. But I do think it's interesting that they're going back and updating these games now as we are moving into another Nintendo console cycle, because it reminds me of when Mario Party Superstars was getting ready to come out, and we actually got online play added to Super Mario Party, that game from 2018, like 2.5 years after that released. They just went back and added online play for it, seemingly testing the online play for Mario Party Superstars, kind of like using it as like a little beta test. So the fact that they are going back and updating Smash Bros. Ultimate, which isn't as surprising because it is such a major tentpole Nintendo Switch, must-buy game for new buyers, the fact that they're going back and updating that, but then more importantly updating Mario Maker 2, makes me think at the very least these developers are actively getting ready for the next thing on the next console. Maybe the Smash Bros. Team over at Bandai Namco, they're updating Smash Bros. Ultimate because they're just, getting their sea legs back together. They're getting ready to start making Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Switch 2, and maybe the 2D Mario team is going back to Mario Maker 2 because, well, once again, maybe they're going to make a Mario Maker 3. I joked on Twitter about them adding the Mario Wonder style to Mario Maker 2 through an update. That is something that would definitely be saved for a full sequel to Mario Maker 2, but the fact that they're going back, 5 years after that game released to patch bugs tells me that something is going on and they are actively, kind of working on this game. Which, if nothing else, just goes to show how much Nintendo does seem to care, at least for games not from Game Freak, when it comes to going back and just really keeping games polished and updated. I'm not actually sure specifics on what the Mario Maker patch did. I know it just did bugs, but the fact that they're going back and I assume, patching bugs that have been found since the last patch, like that's really nice to see. And it just goes to show, like, if you buy a Mario game, they're probably not going to leave it, broken for too long. But more importantly, today I wanted to talk about the 3 games from 2023 that did not get any paid DLC. These 3 games I think everybody would have expected to get paid DLC. and we'll just go in release order. So Tears of the Kingdom is very suspect to me. And, you know, we've had comments from Aonuma saying, like, this is their complete vision, there was no need for DLC, and, you know, they're moving on to the next thing. They're done with this Hyrule, like, all these different comments from Aonuma about how there basically won't be DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, which I respect. And I think a lot of people are, like, confused by this because we're so conditioned to just getting DLC for games. But, you know, if their vision for Tears of the Kingdom was fully realized and they don't want to add more to it, I think that's totally awesome. Like, if they've released a complete package and if they don't want to add more to that, I think that's a good thing. However, there is a glaring omission from Tears of the Kingdom, and that is a master mode. They don't have to do a master mode, but, like, almost every Zelda game in the past 10 years has had some sort of hero mode or master mode. So the fact that we didn't get one, I think, is very... It's very weird, and I could still see, you know, maybe in an upcoming Nintendo Direct, they drop just a free update for Master Mode, and that would kind of, like, tee the line between being a new, like, really big DLC. Maybe that's what Aonuma was talking about by Master Mode. Like, maybe that was already done, and they were just waiting to release it or something. I feel like Master Mode is such a glaring omission that either A, they're just saving it to do as a free update for current Switch owners, or B, maybe they're saving it for, like, a re-release of Tears of the Kingdom or something on Switch 2, like a 60 FPS 4K version of Tears of the Kingdom that includes Master Mode on day one. Like, maybe that's what they're saving it for, because it's very weird to me that that game got nothing. Like, paid DLC, you know, new Sky Islands, new dungeons, like that, I wasn't really expecting. But Master Mode, that feels like such an easy thing to add to this game, that the fact that they didn't do it is just very weird to me, and I would still maybe expect something along those lines to come in the future. Then later that year, in July, we had Pikmin IV, which was another, I think, pretty likely candidate for DLC from Nintendo first party, because I mean, you know, there's only been 3 modern Pikmin games, one of which was a spinoff on 3DS after the Switch came out, so, you know, they didn't exactly have high expectations, but Pikmin 3 on Wii U did get paid DLC. They had paid mission mode or bingo battle maps or whatever it was exactly, I can't remember, but there was paid DLC for Pikmin 3. So, Pikmin 4, being the most successful Pikmin game, being on hardware with a massive install base, I feel like paid DLC for this game would have been a slam dunk easy thing for them to do, to just make a little bit of extra money out of Pikmin 4, but here we are, and there has been nothing for this game. And at this point, it's worth noting that typically in the Nintendo Switch era, when Nintendo has DLC, like a paid DLC expansion pass for a game, they announce it beforehand. Both Xenoblade expansion passes were announced before the games came out. All of the Warriors games, I believe their expansion passes were announced beforehand, like Fire Emblem Warriors and Age of Calamity. Of course, the Splatoon expansion passes, well, Splatoon 3's was announced beforehand. I don't think Splatoon 2's was, because that was something that, you know, came, I think, in the March Direct 2018, so that would have been after. But like Breath of the Wild, that expansion pass was announced before the game came out. Like, typically speaking, they announce expansion passes before the game releases. So when we talk about these 3 games here, Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 3, and Mario Wonder, I'm more leaning towards maybe free updates. Like, Metroid Dread had a free update after release, and they announced it way after release. In terms of paid content, I think all 3 of these games, it's very unlikely, unless it's like a major expansion, like there's a whole new Super Luigi U side to Mario Wonder, but I really don't think that's very likely. So I would expect, if we get anything, to be free updates. But Pikmin 4, yeah, that's another really weird one where I just feel like that game should have gotten updated. And then, yeah, of course, the final game we need to talk about here is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. If you don't know, every 2D Mario game since New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS has had DLC, with some of those games having paid DLC. So, obviously, NSMB 2 and NSMB U on the Wii U, those had paid DLC. For New Super Mario Bros. 2, it was like these gold coin rush levels, and then for New Super U, it was the New Super Luigi U entire game, essentially. And then for both Mario Maker games, there was free content updates after release for months on end. So for Mario Wonder to get nothing is very weird. Like, I don't really know how to, I don't know, that's definitely, I think, that might be the weirdest one, because once again, it's very nice that Nintendo is releasing full games, and we don't have to worry about, like, oh, is there going to be a bunch of microtransactions and all that. So it's kind of like, it's a weird thing to complain about that we didn't get DLC for a game that maybe Nintendo just sees as complete already. But it is interesting from their marketing strategy and business strategy. Like, Mario Wonder, fastest selling 2D Mario game, or actually, sorry, just fastest selling Mario game of all time currently, you would think they'd want to extract a little bit more value out of that. Even something like Mario Odyssey got the Balloon World update a few months after release, so I would say for this one, it's a little too soon to tell, right? I think for Tears of the Kingdom and Pikmin 4, if there was going to be updates for these games, we probably would have seen them in September. Tears of the Kingdom, I would still lean towards Master Mode happening eventually, maybe, but Pikmin 4, I think, probably is just done. Mario Wonder, there hasn't been a full direct since it released, so there really hasn't been time for them to announce some sort of free update, so I think the jury's still out on that one. I'm not really sure what they would add, maybe some more multiplayer versus kind of race-type minigame modes or something, maybe just a couple more stages, a new world, maybe. Like, they could definitely add something to Mario Wonder to spruce up that package a little bit, but I think it is very interesting that a lot of these games aren't getting DLC right now. I know Andres Restart thinks this is a sign of Switch 2 coming out this year, and I can concede that. Like, the fact that these games aren't getting DLC suggests that these development teams have moved on to Switch 2, and that's totally reasonable. I don't know if that indicates release timing necessarily, considering most of these games wrapped up development in 2023, but it is interesting to say the least that, like, they're just kind of seemingly moving on to the next thing and not worrying about the games that they just released, even though it is nice to see once again that they are updating Mario Maker 2 and Smash Bros. Ultimate. Like, it is nice that Nintendo continues to update these games in that way to make them more polished experiences. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think we will end up getting DLC for any of Nintendo's major 2023 releases? Do you think we could see more DLC for Smash Bros. Ultimate or Mario Maker 2? Smash Bros. Ultimate would be so funny to see. Like, can you imagine the outrage if they just announce a Fighters Pass 3? That'd be so funny. It's not going to happen. I think that would just definitely be saved for a proper Switch 2, new release of the game, but that would be a funny day on the internet if they announced a Fighters Pass 3 in an upcoming Nintendo Direct, but that probably won't happen. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think any of these games will end up getting paid DLC, free updates? I would love to hear your thoughts and get a conversation going down below. Of course, if you're new here, subscribe if you enjoy Nintendo Switch news, speculations, theories, all of that stuff, and follow me on Twitter at @BoTalksGames. Until next time, folks, peace!